Last night, I found the most petrifying monster of my life, but I think there's something it's trying to tell me, that not everything has to be like it is. Part 3. They had done this. The ones who called themselves angels. They'd framed him, that poor wretched thing in the woods, and I was the only one who knew. The thought solidified in my mind, cold and sharp as a shard of glass. They knew I knew, and that meant the truth had to be buried. With me. I had to find them. I started where it all ended, in that copse of skeletal trees where he'd made his home. The air was still wrong here, thin and metallic. I found the feathers again. Not clean and white like a dove's, but slick, with a greasy, yellowed sheen that clung to my fingertips. They weren't dropped by accident. They were placed. A breadcrumb trail of filth leading me out of the woods, toward the familiar ribbon of asphalt I knew too well. The trail went cold at the road. For a moment, I felt lost. They couldn't just live out in the open. They'd need a shell, a nest, something close to his territory to keep watch. My eyes scanned the tree line, and then I saw it. Not just a house. The house. My throat closed up. The crooked mailbox I'd smashed with my bike when I was 10. The peeling blue paint on the porch swing. It was my parents' house. The world tilted, the trees and the sky swapping places for a sick, spinning second. Of all the places in the world. Calling the cops was out of the question. What would I say? That celestial horrors were squatting in my childhood home. They'd lock me up and throw away the key. So I did the only thing I could. I waited. The days bled into weeks. The weeks into a rotten, stagnant autumn. The world outside my window seemed to gray over. I stopped answering my phone. Every creak of the floorboards in my apartment was them. Every shadow in the corner of my eye was a wing unfolding. The paranoia was a physical weight pressing down on my chest until I could barely breathe. I started to wonder if I'd broken my own mind. If the creature, the feathers, the house, if it was all just a story I'd told myself because the truth that I was just alone was so much worse. Then, one night, I saw it. At the bottom of my bedroom window, pressed against the glass from the outside. Not a face, just hair. A greasy, dark thatch of it, just the crown of a head, perfectly still in the moonlight. Someone was standing right there, just below the sill, listening, watching. The cold certainty that washed over me was worse than the paranoia. I wasn't crazy. They were here. And they hadn't just come for the lonesome one. That's all it took. The doubt evaporated, replaced by a white-hot terror. I didn't grab a weapon. I didn't call anyone. I just ran. I sprinted the blocks to my parents' house, the night air tearing at my lungs. The front door was unlocked. I pushed it open, and a different kind of silence greeted me. It was thick, heavy, like a blanket soaked in water. And things were falling, soft gray-white things, drifting lazily in the stagnant air of the living room. Feathers, hundreds of them, swirling in invisible currents, settling on the furniture like a layer of diseased snow. I crept along the wall, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. The only light came from the kitchen, a sickly yellow glow. I held my breath and peeked around the doorframe. They were there, 2 of them. Their forms were a nauseating collage of parts too many joints in their limbs, skin stretched like wet paper over sharp, bony ridges. A mess of gristle and flesh, and something else, something luminous and foul. They didn't look like the angels from any book I'd ever read. They looked familiar. One of them turned its head slightly, and the kitchen light caught its face. It was my mother's jawline, her cheekbones. The other one had the same stoop in its shoulders my father always had. It all clicked into place then. Not one thought leading to another, but a violent, shattering collision. Every business trip. Every time they were working late. Every strange, hollow look in their eyes I had dismissed. The creature with my mother's face looked up, its head snapping not toward the ceiling, but straight at the doorway where I was hiding. Its eyes, her eyes, found mine in the darkness. There was no recognition in them, only a cold, appraising hunger. They weren't just living in my parents' house, they were my parents, and I was next.